What's up, my people, and welcome to the channel. My name is Diamond, and if you've checked out this channel, then you know I've created videos on how to deal with your car loans. Everything from tips on how to pay your car off early to the best ways to get rid of negative equity, even how to trade in a car that's not paid off, among many other topics to include co-signing, leasing, and refinancing. But what do all these topics have in common? They're all helpful only after you find yourself in a situation. And if that's you, then that's cool, because I love interacting with you guys and helping in any way that I can. But I want to do more. So I'm launching a new series covering everything you need to know about buying a car, operating a car, and selling your car. And this video is going to kick that off with 10 tips every car buyer needs to know, with a special nod to my first-time car buyers. So if you haven't done so already, be sure to click the subscribe button and enable your notifications so you don't miss a thing. It don't matter if you never bought a car or if you're $30,000 upside down in your car loan. There's information you need in this playlist. And if you want access to the entire series, I'll leave a link to it down in the description and I'll pin it to the comments section. Let's get started with tip number one. Tip number one is keep your emotions in check. When it comes to buying cars, don't make absolute statements. Don't say things like, I had no choice. It was the only car that. Don't do that. Whenever you hear somebody making these statements, or if you're making these statements, you're justifying making a bad purchase, and it's going to cost you thousands of dollars. Always understand that they manufacture millions of cars, so there's always another option. There's always another car to be had just around the corner. I want you to keep this energy through this entire process. Did I mention that this is not some cookie cutter list? Yeah, let's keep going. Tip number two is pay cash, don't finance. And this holds double true for my first-time car buyers. When you pay cash, it's a simple process. You have $5,000, you're looking for a car that's all in $5,000 or less, because it's all you have. When you finance a car, you introduce a lot of new moving parts into the deal, and it's easy to finance more car than you can afford. And if this is your first time buying a car, chances are great that you're going to be hit with a higher interest rate. And so some people will tell you, oh, that's okay. You're a first-time car buyer. You just got to take your lumps, So yeah, go sign up for that 20% interest when you should be getting 2% interest or 5% interest. Anytime somebody tell you to go out and pay interest to build your credit, I want you to ask them one question. What is your net worth? Because when they come back with, I don't know, or a negative number, I want you to run. Don't walk away from this person. Because anytime you're taking financial advice from somebody, I always want you to think, are these people in a financial position that I want to be in? And if they're not, don't take their advice. And I hold myself to that standard too. So go check out some of my other videos to see where I'm coming from. Tip number three is buy a used car over a new car. Because when you look at new cars, you understand that the value of them is going down. They depreciate the most in the beginning. So if you buy a new car at $30,000, you could drive it for 2 years and very well find that it's only worth $20,000. So it's not a matter of how much can you afford. It's really about how much can you afford to lose. And if you combine this with financing the vehicle and being a first-time car buyer with a higher interest rate, what you will find is when you're ready to get rid of it, you actually owe more on the car than it's worth. And what the average person does is they'll take that negative amount because they don't have the money to pay it out of pocket. They just roll that into their next deal. And now they start to put themselves in a cycle, getting deeper and deeper in car debt. And this is not where you want to be. I don't want you to be a candidate for my video, the best ways to get rid of negative equity. So buy used. And since you're following these tips and pay cash, when you want to get rid of this used car and get another one, you can just sell it. You're clean, clear, and you are free to go into your new deal. See, we are getting somewhere. By the end of these tips, you're going to see the method behind the madness. And now I want to take a moment and ask you to comment down below on your first car buying experience, whether it was good, bad, or just plain outright ugly. Let me know what you did good and what you would do differently the next time. And if you've never bought a car, just comment down below. I'm here for the tips. Now let's keep going. Tip number four is going to save you thousands of dollars throughout your life. This tip is to learn how to repair cars yourself. Now, you don't need to become a certified ASE mechanic. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that you should learn how to replace the consumables, things like the brakes, an alternator, the front end suspension components, These are the things you want to learn how to do. And if you don't know how to do this, you're in the right place. You just go to YouTube University, type in how to replace the fill in the blank on a you fill in the blank. And up pops a video of someone showing you exactly how to do it. Also, you can check out your local community college. A lot of them offer auto repair classes that you can pay for less than $500 out of pocket. This one-time purchase is going to save you time and time again. For example, a year and a half after I bought a brand new truck, I needed brakes. Out of curiosity, I asked the dealer to give me a quote on what they would charge to replace the brakes. They came back with $850, and all I could do was like laugh. And so I took the quote, came home, bought the parts myself, and I replaced my brakes for $250. And not only did I replace the pads, I put new pads and rotors all the way around the truck. And these brakes that I replaced them with was of higher quality than the OEM pads, and they've lasted twice as long. So I didn't save $850 once. I've saved it at least 2 times. So learning how to fix your own car is not only going to just save you money when you do the repairs, but when you're out here dealing with the mechanics and these different auto shops, you're going to make sure that they're not trying to pull a fast one on you, which is also going to save you money. Tip number 5 is create a budget and stick to it. And if you're paying cash, this is pretty straightforward, because if you have $10,000, then that's all you have to spend. But when you're financing the car, this can get a little murky. And what I don't want you to do is walk out your front door saying, I'm going to buy a $15,000 car. And then when you get to the dealership, you sign a deal at $22,000 and the car payment is $150 more than what you originally said you could afford. Because your budget didn't change from the time it took you to drive from your house to the dealership. But people do this all the time. It's just an extra 20 bucks. It's just an extra 50 bucks. No, it's over my budget. Because this is going to prevent you from buying too much car. And I don't want you to learn the hard way on what it takes to get out of a bad deal. Okay, now the remaining tips is all about how to research the car, find a deal, and not get screwed over in the process. Tip number 6 is research, research, research. Now you may have one car that you have in mind. You know the make, the model, maybe even the color. But I want you to add 2 or 3 more cars to that list, because I want you to do some research in a way that you can compare and contrast these different makes and models so you can be sure that you're buying the right car for you. So use Kelley Blue Book, Auto Trader, Cars.com, CarGuru.com. Use these different online resources to see what the professionals are saying. See what customers are saying. You're trying to find out, is there any major recalls on this car? Is there any known issues with this car? If the car transmission blow up at 70,000 miles, you want to know this before you decide to purchase it, because there's not a lot you can do after you make the purchase. So do your research up front, and don't just research the car. I want you to research the insurance as well. Reach out to a few companies. Get some quotes on the cars you want to buy, because the difference in insurance between the car you want to buy and the car you should buy could be double. So you want to know this information because it's going to help you make the right decision. Tip number 7 is the fun part. Now you're going to get out and go and test drive these cars. So I want you to spend a day or two going to dealerships and test driving the cars that you're interested in buying. Because a car may seem perfect on paper. You may love the way it looks in the pictures, but it's only one way to truly know if it's the right car for you, and that's to get behind the wheel and actually drive it. I want to point out one thing about this test drive day. This is not the day you're going to buy a car. So don't get pressured into buying a car that day. You're merely gathering more facts, because after you do these test drives, I want you to take that information and bring it home and do more research. Now you have the ability to narrow this list from 2 or 3 cars to one particular car. And at this point, you've done all the research online. You know, you've got behind the wheel. You know it's comfortable. You love the way it drives. Now you know for a fact that this is the car that I want to buy. And now it's time to find the perfect deal. And that's tip number 8. Tip number 8 is find the deal. You've already done your research. You have your budget. You've test drove cars, so you know exactly what you're looking for. Now it's time to find who's going to sell you the car that you want, that's in your price range and meet the condition that you're looking for. So I want you to use all your online resources to search for this car. Use Autotrader.com or Cars.com or Facebook Marketplace. Or you can use one that I just came across. It's Autotempest.com, which searches multiple car sites to find the right car. And it don't matter if you find this at a dealer or a private seller. It's not about where you buy the car. It's about the car itself. So search high and low and don't settle until you find the car that you're looking for. And remember tip number 1 about don't bring your emotion into the deal. This is the point where you have to really exercise that, because now is where you're going to get anxious and you're ready to do something and you may want to just jump the gun. Just know that, especially if you're buying a used car, it may take you a couple weeks or maybe even a month or 2 to find the perfect deal. But because cars are so expensive and a bad car purchase can come back to haunt you for years to come, it's worth it to slow down and take your time to find the perfect car for you. Tip number 9 is get the car inspected. I don't care if you're buying it from a dealer or from a private seller. I want you to get the car inspected. Whether that's you taking it to a professional or you have a mechanic that you trust that you take with you. But have somebody look over the car, because you can buy a good car from anywhere and you can buy a bad car from anywhere. So it's not about where you buy the car. It's always about the car itself. So getting a car inspected may cost you $50 or $100. But it's well worth it, because there's nothing worse than buying a car only to have a major breakdown within your first year of owning it. And if you didn't follow tip number 2, which was pay cash and don't finance it, you really want to heed this warning, because you really don't want to have a major repair and still have to make a car payment. That's going to suck on so many levels. So get your car inspected, period. Rounding out the list at tip number 10 is close the deal. Now, if you're buying a car from a private seller, this is pretty straightforward. You give them the cash, they give you a signed title, you take that to the DMV, and congratulations, you're the proud owner of a new to you 1989 Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham Edition, complete with leather interior and a power sunroof. But if you're buying a car from a dealer, this is where you have to really pay attention, because this is where you're most likely going to lose money. Because now you're sitting in the finance office and you're signing all the paperwork. This is not the time to just skim over stuff and initial at the bottom. No, you want to read every line item on every page to make sure that what you have agreed to is what you are buying. You don't want to look up 8 months later and realize that, oh, that car was really only $10,000, but somehow I paid $16,000 because I bought gap insurance or a warranty or this or that. You need to know these things before you sign the paperwork. And if you're not good with this kind of stuff, bring along somebody you trust who can look over the paperwork with you to make sure that you get what you came for. And I don't believe all dealers are out here to rip you off and they're trying to scam everybody. That's not it at all. But you don't know what you don't know. And unfortunately, I didn't know is not an excuse. So make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into when you're sitting down signing these papers. So to quickly recap, we have keep your emotions in check, pay cash, buy used, learn how to do car repairs yourself, create a budget and stick to it, do your research, go out and test drive the car and then do more research, find the deal, get the car inspected, and then close the deal. Let me know in the comments whether you agree or disagree with this list. What would you add and what would you take away? If you got value out this video, then let me and YouTube know by giving it a thumbs up. And if you want more information about buying cars or how to handle your car debt, how to get out of your car debt, then click in this playlist right here, which you can also find in the description. And I'll leave a link to the playlist in the comment section as well. Until next time, I'm Diamond. Peace.